there's no perfect team, but there is a best team. And Yahoo Sports ran a poll recently, a bracket, kind of like ESPN's bracket for the best college player of all time. But this one was executed better because theirs didn't end up as kind of a joke. They did a poll for the fans. Who is the greatest team of all time in NBA history? And the Bulls of 1996, of course, they won 72 games, started another three-peat. They won their first of three straight titles, Jordan's fourth overall. Believe it or not, I don't know what Yahoo was thinking, but they were a third seed. They were the 3 seed behind the 2017 Warriors of Durant and Curry and the 86 Celtics of Bird, Parrish, and McHale. But the fans had their say, and the 96 Bulls ran away with the tournament. They won every single matchup. They got at least 74% of the vote, Rob. That is incredible.
That is.
I got to be honest, even I wouldn't have given them that high a percentage of the vote. But they got 74% of the vote against everybody, whether it was Bill Russell's Celtics in 65, we understand that. Whether it was Shaq and Kobe's Lakers of 2001, that was their best team, Bird's 86 Celtics, or the KD Steph Warriors, they wiped out all of them. You agree with that?
I do. I do think that when you look at those teams, the problem with the Celtics teams, so far removed, no video, so they're always the old time stuff. Chris,
yeah, the 65
always,
stuff. Yeah,
right. That's always going to get X'd out. You agree with me on that?
Yep.
Always, because the
Yep.
people they just haven't seen it.
And in fairness, I gotta be honest. They and I know I might sound like these millennials who like to rip our era, which is ridiculous. But in the 60s, it just wasn't as good.
No, and there were only 10 teams. I always say this: you go back to the 50s and the early 60s, and the teams that all won, Chris, were always the same teams. It was the Montreal Canadiens, the New York Yankees, the Boston, because they had good teams. They stayed together,
and there was no free agent, right?
Right, and there were only a handful. The original 6 in the NHL, there was only 6 teams. So
right.
if the Canadians
like
were good,
once you got your great players, it was over.
It's over.
Yeah, right.
The Canadians won the Yankees. They had everybody. Mickey Mantle, right? They got their team together. How you beating the Yankees?
It was over.
They went to the World Series. I think they 8 out of 10 times in the 50s. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So the Green Bay Packers, same thing. Those were the teams that won all the time.
Right. Yeah, like I said, I agree. I said it a week or two ago that the Bulls are the best team ever. And look, I think it's close. I think there's 2 teams that you can make a strong argument for. And I think the Showtime Lakers were great. But remember, Kareem, for the last 2, if not 3 championships, was kind of, on his last legs. The Bird Celtics of 86, that was a great team. Their inside play would have been tough for anybody to handle. But I think the 2 teams I say would give the Jordan Bulls some trouble, although I take the Jordan Bulls. The Shaq Kobe Lakers of 01, that team was phenomenal. And, Shaq obviously would be a handful. Now, the Bulls would have had bodies to throw at them. They had Bill Winnington, Will Perdue, who weren't great. I'm sorry, Luke Longley at that point, who weren't great players, but they were okay players, and they were big bodies. They were fouls. You could throw them on a big guy, get physical with them, foul him, bang him, and, you get them to rock in the right place, they could score. They beat Shaq. So, they faced Shaq with a great penny, and ran through him, I believe, in 5 games. That was the greatest era of big men ever. You had David Robinson. You had Hakeem Olajuwon. You had Patrick Ewing. I mentioned Shaq, Alonzo Mourning. Some great bigs, and that's the era the Bulls dominated. So I think they would have been fine. I can see, look, Shaq would have been a terror, and Kobe would have played Jordan close, even though I think Jordan's better. So that would have been a good team. And then the Warriors of Durant and Steph, obviously a tremendous offensive team. Now, I just think, though, Jordan's will to win, I think the toughness of that Bulls team, I just think they would have been too much. We haven't, as great as Steph's been in the finals, and I think he should have an MVP that first year, he hasn't just taken over a finals like Jordan did. Durant did it, but with all great players, like you had to pay attention to Steph, you had to pay attention to Clay. Durant's never really taken over like that certainly not in the finals without, this juggernaut of other great players around him that you had to pay attention to. So Jordan did that on the regular. And so I just can't bet against Jordan in that series. Plus, Rob, they could have went, you talk about, the Warriors had too much on the perimeter. Jordan, Pippen, Tony Kukoc, Ron Harper, and Dennis Rodman. Rodman could defend anybody and was athletic. And then those guys, the ones I mentioned, Kukoc was very good. Like that, their defense was tenacious. And I know Rob G, if he wants to get in here, he loves the Warriors of 17, which I like too. They ran through the playoffs, but here's the thing. They ran through a weaker field. Like Utah was led by Gordon Hayward. Okay, he's all right. They wiped them out. Portland was an 8th seed that struggled. They had Damian Lillard, who's great, but they struggled. They weren't a great team that year. And then the Spurs had them beat. The Spurs were up 22 in game 1. Now, I think Golden State would have still won the series, but the Spurs were up 22 with Kawhi. He gets hurt, and then the Warriors took over. So, and then that Cavs team they beat in the finals couldn't play defense. They had tried to outshoot everybody, and they played right into the Warriors' hands because they couldn't shoot with them, and so they wiped them out. So I think the Bulls are the best team ever, Rob.
Yeah, it's hard for me to argue. And when you look at what they were able to do and just the dominance to be able to win the way that they did. And I know people sometimes will say, maybe they would have won 8 in a row. You know what I mean? If Michael didn't go play baseball. But I know it's hypothetical and a lot of things could happen, injuries and all that. But you know what, Chris, I wouldn't put it against them that they wouldn't have been able to do it. That's how dominant they were. And
if Jordan could, and he was a little bit worn down after the first three-peat, right, mentally. Right. So he goes to play baseball. He comes back refreshed, gets another three-peat. Rob, like, to win 8 straight mentally.
No, right. Mentally. No, I get it.
I agree with you. I wouldn't have bet against him.
I wouldn't have bet. Right. That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. If he could keep it up mentally, then I think they could have, because I think they were that good.
Because there's a mental thing, there's a hunger thing. Do you know what I mean? Like you get complacent. I don't care who you are. You do get complacent. Like, oh, we won what in the other game? Oh yeah, okay. The only team I've ever seen just keep winning like that, Harlem Globetrotters, and there's a little script that they follow. You know what I'm saying?
Good one. What? I see Rob G. No, it was good. I like that. Rob G didn't want any. He jumped.
I didn't want to chime in.
He was all 2000s. Oh, they couldn't hoop in the 90s, but then we get on there.
Fun of Magic Johnson.
You guys are embarrassing yourselves on national radio right now. I've never seen 2 dudes just openly ball wash more professional athletes than you guys are doing right now.
All right, Jonas.
No,
what are you talking about?
Look, the Bulls were great. I'm not saying that they're not great. They're one of the best teams ever. But to say, they're easily the best team.
I didn't say easily. I
maybe these 2 teams can hang with them. But they would look. Look at you guys want facts over feelings. In the playoffs, the Chicago Bulls during that 96 team had a net rating of 12.1, which is great. The 2017 Warriors, 13.5. The 2001 Lakers,
I told you about
13.7.
Hold on. I told you about the Warriors. Gordon Hayward, Damian Lillard led teams. Who was good? Lillard's great. I don't want to take anything away from him. But let's not act like they had to go through so
the Lakers going through Tim Duncan and what you guys called one of the best teams to never win, the Sacramento Kings, that doesn't count.
That's
what I'm saying. It's like you guys. No, in 2001, no, in 2001 they swept them. 2001 they swept them.
They didn't sweep. They swept the King
in 2001.
Okay.
Yes,
but they were fortunate to get by Portland. They were down 15.
2001, they went 15-1. You guys are picking these eras hey, let's just lump together the all 6 championship teams from the Bulls. No, this is the best team ever. And I'm not saying that the Bulls may be the best team ever. But say that it's no question.
Say it was no contest.
You guys just spent 14 minutes.
Or the Lakers would give them
14 minutes talking about, Michael Jordan, he don't get to game 7. That's what they do. They win all the time. Dennis Rodman and Ron Harper. They'll D you up, with those high shorts that they're wearing.
Who's in his feelings now?
I'm just saying, you guys you sound like such old men on the radio. Look, Michael Jordan in the early 90s, no one could touch them. They beat Shaq when Shaq was, 22.
They beat Shaq.
Come on, man.
Penny was great.
He was 21 or whatever it was. They were a young team. They were like the Oklahoma City Thunder. They weren't ready.
The Lakers team you talking about, Kobe was that young.
They weren't ready.
You think Kobe at 21 going to do something with Mike?
At that age? Yeah.
Oh, stop it.
Yeah. But
Mike might have been better in the second
are so excited about a Bulls team that struggled to beat Sean Kemp, a Husky Sean Kemp, and Gary Payton. They went to 6 games.
No, let me correct you, because I told you should have listened to me earlier.
Struggling.
They were up 3-0. Rob, you remember that. They were up 3-0.
Yes.
They relaxed and let Seattle win the next 2. And there was no question.
Hey, great teams don't let the foot off the gas, Chris. You should know that.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. All right, let's see what the callers think. 877-99 on Fox. 877-996-6369. Who is the best NBA team ever? The Bulls in 96, 72-10 championship. Shaq, Kobe, Lakers. Durant, Steph, Warriors, or somebody else. Your turn to weigh in with Chris and Rob, Fox Sports Radio.
All right. What about Joe in North Carolina? You're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio.
I love your show, guys.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I go with the Bulls all the way. First of all, Jordan, one of the greatest two-way players ever. Pippen was a great two-way player. The defense, it was great on the Bulls, was fantastic. Plus, the rules are different. Now, 3-pointers, you hit them barely after they shoot the shot, they get foul shot. If Jordan would have had that rule, oh, my God, he'd gone even crazier than he already did. So I go with the Bulls all the way.
Good point in that. Remember, Rob, they were hand-checking during Jordan's day.
Oh, it's just totally different. You remember how Jordan would get beat up and worked over like a burger and fries.
Yep.
It was totally different. No doubt. Let's see.
What's a flagrant foul now was just all right, get up and take your free throw.
No, it was a Tuesday in the NBA.
Right.
How about Matt in Louisiana? You're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio.
Hey guys, y'all kind of took my point away, but that's exactly what.
No, go ahead, make it.
I'm going with the Bulls because Jordan played in a completely different era. They can't get LeBron would cry today in the things that Jordan had to deal with and put up with when it comes to being beat down, beat up. I don't know how many times he got hammered at the basket. And to sit there and talk about Shaq, it was the era of the big men and whatnot, but they had Dennis Rodman to be the enforcer, and they could have dealt with Shaq. And so to sit there and it's hard to compare that era from back then to now because they just could get away with so much more back then than you can now. You can't compare the two, but I still go with Jordan, the Bulls. I'm a big basketball fan, play basketball, but could care less about the NBA today, but I pay attention as an avid sports fan. That's just my opinion.
Good call. Matt. Jordan was a terror in that day, Rob, going to the hole, best big men era ever, getting hammered.
No doubt.
What would he do now going to the hole? I mean, come on.
Well, they can't touch him, so he would just be – it's either free throws, and he was a good free throw shooter.
Right, he was a great free throw
shooter.
Right.
So what he would be getting 50 points.
And I'll say this. Look, I think he brought up LeBron. I think LeBron in that era would have adjusted and been fine finishing at the rim. Obviously, he's tough physically and big enough and all that. Just like Rob, people want to bring up, Jordan didn't shoot threes. If he played today, he would adjust and he would be a good three-point shooter.
Just
I'm not
like
saying he'd be Steph Curry, but he'd be a good free throw or three-point
Just like
shooter.
he adjusted when he got in the NBA. He was a
Right.
dunker when he first came in, right? A driver to the basket. And then what happened? He decided that if you want to have some sort of career, you can't keep going in with those
Right.
big guys. He became a perimeter shooter and a damn good one. Am I right?
Yep, you're absolutely
No doubt.
right. Yep.
Sean in North Carolina, you're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio.
How's it going, fellas?
What's up, man?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well. You guys staying safe?
Oh yeah, we're good, brother.
Yes,
How are
we
you?
are.
You
Thank you.
good? Good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got the stay-at-home order, but here in North Carolina, it's not quite as bad as some places. So, if people
Okay.
keep their heads on straight, I think we'll be all right.
Okay. Good. What's your point?
Fellas, I watched both the Bulls and the 2001 Lakers, and the Bulls were my favorite team of all time, but I just don't know who from that team's going to check Shaq. And that's the one X factor that I would give it to the 2001 Lakers and their dominance. Because, the Bulls maybe 1 through 5 might be a little bit better, but I think the Lakers had the overall better role players. And Ron Harper can just check himself because he was on both teams.
Ron Harper was on both teams. I think they would have thrown a bunch of big bodies at Shaq. That team beat Shaq.
That's right. And
Now,
Chris
granted, he wasn't quite as good, but he still was awesome. Let's not act like he wasn't
brought
great
up,
in Orlando.
there were 3 big guys on that team, right?
Right.
That they
Right.
could have brought in. Because
Yep.
did I ever tell you,
That's
I covered St. John's when Bill Wennington was there. Can you believe
Oh yeah,
that?
yeah. He was actually pretty good there.
He was.
No, they would have thrown a bunch of. Shaq would have had huge numbers, and it would have been a heck of a series.
Hey, let's squeeze one more in, Chris.
All right.
Corwin in Dallas. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio.
Hey, what's up, guys? What's up, Chris and Rob?
How you?
Great. What's up?
I'm good, man. I'm going with Joy. I called the other day. I'm the 28-year-old y'all was talking to the other day, but I'm going with the Bulls for a fact. They were just a better team, and like the callers, they all took my points, and y'all did too. It's just if you put them in today's era with the small ball, they will be even better. And one more thing I want to say that I don't buy that people you had to live back then and see. Like I can look on tape now, and I don't have to take nobody word. I know for a fact that Michael Jordan is the best player I've ever seen. I didn't have to see him play live, but just going. That's what I like about my era. I can go back. I don't have to take nobody's
Right.
word.
You know what? You know what about
it's
this?
actually
You know
a great
what?
time for that now because
It
they
is.
got all the games on. Yeah.
And I
And
love
that's-
your
that's like-
I love your point from this standpoint. It's the same thing. I didn't see Babe Ruth take one swing. When I look at the numbers and all that, you can't tell me that he's not one of the greatest players who ever played. Just
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't have to see somebody play to understand their greatness.
No doubt. All right, thank you. That was a great call. Young guy. He represented millennials well, Rob G. Unlike Rob G. I mean, he does his homework.
Old
He's
man
not
radio
biased.
strikes again
He's not
on
biased.
Fox Sports Radio.
Hold on. You know what those Jordan Bulls teams did to Shaq and Penny, Rob? They swept them.
How old was Shaq?
Hold on. They not only swept them, they swept them by an average of 17 points a game.
Hey, Chris, do you know what the Shaq Kobe
Demolished
Lakers
them.
did to
You act
Tim
like
Duncan
Shaq was
in his
garbage
prime?
back then. Let me
Oh,
tell you.
yeah,
Let me
uh-huh.
tell you about Shaq. Let me tell you about Shaq that year. Shaq that year was in his 4th season. All right, 4th season, averaged 26 and 11, and 2 blocks, 3 assists. I mean, come on, Shaq was dominant, and Penny was great. That was before Penny got hurt. So,
are you ready?
Hope you could take the heat like LeBron.
We're going big. It's go time. It's Broussard's Fab Five.
all right, this year they had a great Hall of Fame class for basketball just announced on Saturday, led by Kobe, Tim Duncan, and Kevin Garnett. Got me to thinking, who are the top 5 Hall of Fame classes ever? Here we go.
Number 5.
2016, arguably the best big man ever, Shaq. Arguably the best small man ever, Allen Iverson. And the best Asian player ever, Yao Ming. That's a heck of a class.
Number 4.
1987, Pistol Pete Maravich, an icon at LSU in college and in the NBA. Walt Clyde Frazier, one of the best point guards we've ever seen. 2 championships with the Knicks led him to both. And then Rick Barry, I think the most underrated superstar in NBA history.
Number 3.
1980, the Big O, Oscar Robertson. First, for 55 years, he was the only player ever to average a triple-double for an entire season. Actually did it for the first 5 years of his career if you lump the 384 games together. Jerry West, the logo. Need I say more? And then Jerry Lucas was a great player himself. 17 points, 15 rebounds a game for his career.
Number 2.
2009, the GOAT, MJ, Michael Jordan, David Robinson, the Admiral, and then John Stockton, the great point guard, the all-time leader in points and assists. In steals and assists. And all 3 of those guys are in the top 10 all-time at their position. Jordan, obviously the greatest shooting guard of all time. Robinson around 7th, somewhere around there on my list of all-time great centers. And Stockton, I've got him lower than most. I got him around 7th all-time point guards. Some would have him a lot higher. And now,
Number 1.
the greatest Hall of Fame class in basketball history. That's right, 2020. They just announced it. Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, and Kevin Garnett. I mentioned that Jordan, Robinson, Stockton, top 10 at their positions, all 3 of them. These 3 are arguably top 5. Duncan and Kobe, easily top 5. In fact, they're top 2. Kobe, the second greatest shooting guard ever. Tim Duncan, the greatest power forward ever. And a lot of people would have Garnett as a top 5 power forward, certainly a top 10 power forward of all time. That makes them the greatest Hall of Fame class ever. Rob Parker, any disagreements?
Of course I disagree, because you're always the prisoner of the moment. Whatever happened last night is better than whatever happened. Any class with Michael Jordan is the best. I'm sorry.
Stop it. It's a class.
I'm not.
It's not one guy.
I'm not. I'm
this
sorry.
This is foolishness.
No, it's not. I cannot
Duncan,
get with that.
Just it? That's your argument? Anything? And why is his theme music playing during my segment?
Because I took it over. I am the poo-poo king.
The champ is up in here.
No, ain't no champ.
Is Kobe.
We don't have time for it. We're running out of time. Say the station ID. We don't have time for all that.
All you said was Jordan. That's it? That's your argument?
Yes. Anything with Jordan in it is better.
No, stop.
It's better than anything anybody else has.